Do the Iowa Hawkeyes repeat as Big Ten West champions in 2022? Can Nebraska Cornhuskers make a bowl game for the first time in Scott Frost's reign in Lincoln, Nebraska? The Evo Badgers, yes, the Evo Wisconsin Badgers, are they starting their slide down the Western Division? And can my beloved Gophers finally get it done? They knocked on the door in 2019. They knocked on the door in 2021. Can they kick it down? It's still a line from Bum Phillips of the Houston Oilers. Can they finally kick it down and win the Big Ten West? Welcome to episode 13. College football speaker on the corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We're going to be doing the Big Ten West predictions. Am I going to be a homer? Am I going to have any ethics? Am I going to have any dignity and grace? Or am I just going to pick the Gophers to win the Big Ten West? We shall see. As you know, this is how we do it. We go from 7th place to 1st place. I do a little quick synapse of each team. Not really a deep dive, just a quick synapse. I know everyone's kind of tired of these predictions. You see them all over the place, but I gotta put it down on record, right? So I can go back to it later in the year so we can analyze how wrong I was. So let's get to it. We're quickly going to go 7th and 6th place here. 7th place, I've got Northwestern. Over underline at win total in Vegas is 3.5. Don't think they'll get the 4. So I would go the under on that. Fitzgerald's a great coach. Done a fantastic job for the Northwestern Wildcats. This is an even year, 2022 on the calendar, so therefore Northwestern should pop back up the division. They go up and down depending on if it's an even or odd year, it seems like. But I don't think they pop up this year. They don't really have a quarterback. Ryan Lazinski is not a Big Ten quarterback. They gave up so many points last year, so many yards on the ground, which is not usually what a Fitzgerald team does. And don't think there's going to be a whole lot of improvement in that. In the games that they lost, I think if you count them all up, it's well over 200 points. Just got blown out in some games, got blown out against Nebraska. They start the year against Nebraska here in Dublin, Ireland on August 27th. I'm already putting out weather reports for that game on Twitter. Looks like it's going to be 68 degrees, possibly some rain in Dublin, Ireland. That surprises nobody. As you can see, we're excited for the season to start here at Peek Around the Corner. I know you are as well. Northwestern, most interesting part of the team is probably the running backs. Cam Porter, it looks like he was going to be a stud a couple years ago. He got injured. He had a good performance against Ohio State Buckeyes. He got injured. Last year he was recovering. This year I believe he's ready to go. And then Evan Hall from Maple Grove, Minnesota. My hometown right now. Evan Hall played for Maple Grove High School. Good, tough player. Great recruit by Fitzgerald. He breaks some runs. He doesn't look like he can break out those runs, but he does. Once in a while, he pops them. Had a great year last year. I expect him to have a really good year this year. Northwestern to me is similar to Indiana. I've got Indiana finishing 7th in the Big Ten East. I've got Northwestern finishing the Big Ten 7th in the Big Ten West. And the most interesting rooms on those rosters is the running back position. Northwestern is doing a lot. They got that great athletic village facility on Lake Michigan there. Absolutely gorgeous. They're putting in millions, tens of millions of dollars to revamp their football stadium, which is a good deal for that football program. Great deal for Fitzgerald for recruiting purposes. I don't have them popping up this year in 2022. I got them in 7th place. 6th place, whoa, this was tough. You see, here in the last 30 days, I have changed my mind on these teams pretty drastically, dramatic. Just I'm reading the reports. I'm trying not to let my bias get in the way. But I got Illinois in 6. I kind of want to move them up. I can't right now. Tommy DeVito, the quarterback transfer Syracuse. The quarterback will be an improvement this year at Illinois. They drastically needed that. The head coach, Bielema, he's going to have a decent offensive line. He's eventually going to get there with that offensive line. The offensive line. The defensive line is very thin. The people of Champaign, Illinois will tell you they lost their players last year. They haven't been able to refill. Defensive line is extremely thin. And you can't have a thin defensive line when it comes to depth in the Big Ten West. Because most of the Big Ten West teams, as you all know, just pound the rock, pound the rock, pound the rock, pound the rock. I mean, what's going to happen? You get some injuries. I think Illinois is just going to wear down this year. I don't think they've been able to recruit to get back, to replace the defensive line, give the head coach some more room, some more time. He'll probably get there. Offensive line will improve. Chase Brown, of course, one of the better running backs in the Big Ten, one of the better running backs in the country. He's going to be their stud this year. Can't quite get him to 5th place. And the 5th place team I've got, and I had them in 2nd place 30 days ago in the Big Ten West. I've got the Purdue Boilermakers. And I almost have them coming in 6th. I had the Purdue Boilermakers challenging for the Big Ten West title just 30 days ago. Do not like what I'm hearing in public, in private. Aiden O'Connell, best quarterback in the Big Ten West Division. I'm very high on that young man. So how could I possibly have Purdue finishing in 5th and closer to 6th and 4th? Because I think they've lost too much. George Kalafdis, the defensive end, he made that defense improve last year on his own. But they have about 3 defensive coordinators last year. They're down to about, 2 defensive coordinators this year. Don't know what Jeff Brom's doing over there. Previously, he hired Bob Diaco as their defensive coordinator, which just blew my mind. He was the defensive coordinator in Nebraska and did not do a good job. He was a head coach of UConn. Boy, that was a strange situation. He had some promising years, great years, won some awards, Broyer Awards for best coordinator in the country when he was coaching at Notre Dame. But ever since then, it's been a tailspin, and Jeff Brom hired him. And then he went out, and he's got all these guys. When you have that many coaches as your defensive coordinator, you just have no accountability. I think it all feeds down to your team, to those specific units. Just something about Purdue, the wide receiver core. They had they lost David Bell. They lost their stud that was going to be this year the number 1 receiver due to academics. They do a late transfer with Charlie Jones of Iowa. Will that help? Yeah, the guy had 21 catches last year. I don't know if he can be your number 1 receiver. The running game, Purdue's running game, has been their Achilles heel in the recent years. You got to be able to run the ball in the Big Ten West. I mean, it's fine. It's good that Purdue is different than the other teams in the Big Ten West. That's cool. That should help them really. But you got to be able to run the ball somewhat as the weather changes, as we all know it does in Wisconsin and Iowa, especially in Minnesota. Purdue has not been able to beat Minnesota because the clash of what both teams do, it just doesn't play well to Purdue. I had Purdue challenging for the Big Ten West title. The more I read about them, the more I hear about what's going on in camp. I've got them dropping all the way to 5th. I'm even starting to change my mind on that Purdue-Penn State game, opening game. Now I'm leaning Penn State. I'm flip-flopping here. So, yeah, I got Purdue finishing in 5th place. For 4th place, I got the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Another reason why I've got Purdue finishing 5th. I'm bumping up Nebraska. A week from now, I might have them in 3rd, but I'm having the predictions right now, so I'm saying Nebraska's finishing 4th place. This is Scott Frost's 5th year. Has not been to a bowl game in 4 years as head coach of Nebraska. He's 15-29 overall. Adrian Martinez is out as quarterback. Casey Thompson is in, the transfer from Texas. He hurt his thumb, had an injury on his thumb, had surgery earlier this spring. They say he's healthy. They say he looks good in camp. There deems to be a quarterback battle. But you got to have Casey Thompson as your starter. That's why you brought him in. Offensive line, there's question marks all over the place, especially at right tackle, which is a reoccurring theme here in the Big Ten West. A lot of questions at right tackle. So the running back situation, it's hard to even... They brought in new offensive coordinator, Mark Whipple, from Pittsburgh. Great year last year, coordinating that offense for the Pittsburgh Panthers. Had the first-round NFL draft pick, developed them, Kenny Pickett. Under Scott Frost, Nebraska has not been establishing RB1, a bell cow, running back 1. They just don't give their running backs the ball enough. They definitely do not give the ball enough rushing attempts to whoever going to be their lead back is. The running backs don't know their roles at Nebraska. The whole offense under Scott Frost has been just weird. They worked at UCF. You can throw the flat passes at UCF and AAC to the wide receivers. That doesn't work here in the Big Ten. You got to either pound the ball, but you got to make some plays downfield to get the linebackers off the line of scrimmage. Nebraska doesn't make plays downfield in their passing game to get the linebackers off the line of scrimmage. So all the defenses against Nebraska crowds them. So they got to change it up. Mark Whipple is the man to change it up. I think that was a great hire. So I've got Nebraska going to a bowl game this year. I've got them improving. They did lose a lot on defense. I'm a little worried about their rush defense. That first game against Northwestern, we're going to learn a lot. That game in Dublin, Ireland, we're going to learn a lot. Because basically Northwestern's going to run the ball. It's basically what all they're going to be able to do. And Nebraska, can they hold up? So we're going to learn a lot in that first game. Very excited. Very excited for this college football season to start. I have Nebraska finishing 4th, and I've got them going to a bowl game. Is that enough for Scott Frost to keep his job another year? We shall see. It all depends how they finish the season. Do they finish 7-5, 6-6? 6-6 might not keep Scott Frost around. They need to start winning. That program has an incredible fan base, incredible support throughout the state of Nebraska. They have the resources. They've got to get it going. So, 3rd place, I've got the Iowa Hawkeyes. The reigning and defending Big Ten West champions, Petrus, quarterback, do not like. In fact, the next team I discuss, I'll just hold off on that. Big Ten West quarterbacks, not all that good, right? Just not a good set of quarterbacks in the Big Ten West. Petrus, I know he's getting battled for his quarterback 1 position. I don't know if he's going to survive this season. He's got a big arm, but he's one of these guys, and there's another one I'm going to talk about here in a moment, who doesn't process the field all that well, all that quick, all that fast. Iowa won the Big Ten West based on Riley Moss, the great secondary. Lots of interceptions last year, lots of turnovers, great special teams at the University of Iowa. They always do it on special teams, something that other Big Ten West teams cannot do, which is Nebraska and Minnesota. They've got a huge edge in that particular unit. And but I've got Iowa finishing third. They're going to have a good defense this year. They have a home game at Michigan. They have an away game at Ohio State. The schedule does not play well for Iowa to win the West. When's the last team that's won the West, Big Ten West, since the divisions were created, that won the West when their crossover games were Ohio State and Michigan? It hasn't happened before. Don't think it's happening in 2022. So therefore, I've got Iowa finishing in third place. They lose their great center. They're going to be good on the lines. But with that schedule, with that quarterback, Iowa Hawkeyes, third place. So who do I got for second place? Who do I got for first place? Do I go out all homer and pick the Golden Gophers to finally win the Big Ten West? Second place, I got the Wisconsin Evil Badgers. Yes, the Wisconsin Badgers coming in second place. I'm having fun with the Badger fans. For those who don't know who's outside the Big Ten West, for those who are watching this YouTube channel from Los Angeles, who are USC, UCLA fans who could be coming to the Big Ten in 2024, Wisconsin and Minnesota is the most played game rivalry in all of college football. Wisconsin, Minnesota, the border rivalry, playing for the Axe. It's a huge game. It's played at the end of the season. Wisconsin has dominated Minnesota for the last 20 years. They won 15 in a row. Finally, under P.J. Fleck, the Minnesota Golden Gophers have won the Axe 2 out of the last 4 years. Last year, Minnesota defeated Wisconsin in Minneapolis. This year, the game's in Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin. Wisconsin Badgers, I believe, and I think we've seen it the last 2 years, I think the slide has begun. The slide has begun. They didn't win the division last year. They didn't win the division the year before. And I don't think they're going to win the division this year. It's going to be close. It's going to be tight, right? I had it as a 4-team race, but now I've got Purdue falling back. I've got it as a 3-team race, once again, between Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. I've given my reasons why I don't think Iowa's going to get there, namely the quarterback, namely the schedule. Wisconsin Badgers, the reason I don't think they're going to get there is namely the quarterback. Graham Mertz cannot get it done. I am not a believer. Am I being a little tough on the young man? Yes, I probably am, but I've seen enough. Can he prove me wrong? Let's see if he does. There was a report a couple weeks ago about Graham Mertz adding muscle, adding strength to his game. Added 15 pounds of muscle, something like that. And I said on Twitter, I said, that wasn't the problem. That's great that he's developing his body, probably trying to get ready for a career in the NFL. But that was never the problem with Mertz. It's between the ears. The guy cannot process the game, can't process the field. When he's back there, he doesn't see what's developing in front of him. Wisconsin has always had a pretty simple offense. Run that ball, and when there's 9 in the box, they throw it out. They've had Graham Mertz. If you watch his games, they've had Graham Mertz just look at one side of the field. They eliminate one side of the field on passing plays. They just have them focus on one side of the field. And defenses have been able to pick that up. Now, Wisconsin has still had this very successful season last year. They got it. Braylon Allen, unbelievable running back. They're going to have that good offensive line. Stud defensive coordinator, Jim Leonard. Geez, I wish he would leave Wisconsin and take a head football coaching job somewhere else. Fantastic player. Fantastic coordinator. Paul Chryst, I think this slide is also starting because of for his inability to recruit out of the transfer portal, for his inability to recruit. The development of his players have slid a little bit under his regime. I think the slide is starting. Their wide receiver room, pretty weak this year, right? So, yeah, I do not have Wisconsin winning the division. I do not have Iowa winning the division. I don't have Nebraska winning the division. So who do I have winning the division? Who do I have winning the Big Ten West? That's right. Your Minnesota Golden Gophers rowed the boat. This is the year we finally knocked the door down. Tanner Morgan, 6-year quarterback, good quarterback. He's won a lot of games at Minnesota. There is some physical limitations. He has difficult avoiding the one-man rush, right? Doesn't have the strongest arm. He does process the field very well, but he has physical limitations. Last year, under Mike Sanford, the offensive coordinator who was fired by PJ Fleck and went to Colorado, under that offense, there was no options. The tree routes were incredibly horrific. There were no options for Morgan when teams put on a rush. Illinois figured it out. Bowling Green figured it out. Wisconsin figured it out. Every team had figured out, had Minnesota's offense figured out. Yes, Minnesota was a great running team last year, and they have been. There will be a great running team this year. But all the defenses had to do against Minnesota was rush those defensive ends, put the pressure on Morgan, go all out, because there was no hot route to a running back. There was no hot route to a tight end. There was nowhere for Morgan to dump it off. And Morgan cannot avoid a run-man rush. He's got limitations. And the offensive tree, the offensive passing route, limited Minnesota. 2021, PJ Fleck has brought back Kirk Shiraka, the offensive coordinator, which brought Minnesota to an 11-2 record in 2019. Kirk Shiraka is back. So all the hopes and dreams are in with Kirk Shiraka coming back again, matching up with PJ Fleck as they dominated the MAC, as they brought Minnesota Golden Gophers program all the way up to a true contender in the Big Ten West. Kirk Shiraka, PJ Fleck. That's the magic bullet. We hope and we pray. Okay? Mohamed Ibrahim. Mo Heisman. The bowling ball with razor blades. He's back. Achilles injury last year, running against Ohio State in the first game of the season. He had 163 yards against the Buckeyes, middle of the third quarter. He gets injured. He's down. He's out. He can't come back, right? Can't come back on Achilles heel. No one has done that. Well, in August camp, Mohamed Ibrahim looks fantastic. Looks fantastic. I think he's back. I think Mo Heisman is back. Trason Potts, the backup running back last year who had a serious injury. Gophers had serious injury after serious injury in the running back room, and yet they still could run the ball. And they're going to be able to run the ball again this year. Potts is back. Okay? They got Zach Evans, a stud true freshman. Well, I think we'll see him a little bit this year. Gophers running back behind that, an offensive line that will take a half a step back this year. Problems at the right tackle. Once again, that's a reoccurring theme in the Big Ten West. Big right tackle battle going on. The rest of the offensive line is set. The center, John Michael Schmitz, the favorite to win the Remington Award for best center in the country. He's going to be leading that offensive line. The defense last year was third in the country for yards per game. Joe Rossi, fantastic defensive coordinator. Unfortunately, I happen to think this will be his last year as defensive coordinator for the Gophers. I think he's going to be getting a head coaching job next year. I'm excited for the guy. I mean, selfishly, I don't want that to happen. I'll be sad when it happens a little bit, but the guy is a great developer of talent. The defense, led by that secondary, is going to be filthy, going to be elite. Can't wait to watch that secondary. Wally, All-American freshman All-American last year. Justin Wally started at one end. Terrell Smith started at the other cornerback. They've got Howden and Newman as fantastic safeties. They got a couple transfer, Beanie Bishop. They've got They're deep and they're very good. Secondary is going to be awesome. Special teams is going to be a problem. It's always a problem at the University of Minnesota. Not always, but under PJ Fleck, it has been the weak unit of this program. And I'm not going to believe that it's going to improve until I see it. It's one of those things. I'll believe it when I see it. And the passing offense, the wide receiver core is a little thin, a little weak. Chris Ottman-Bell, hopefully he can establish himself as the number one. He was nicked up last year. Hopefully he gets it going. Dylan Wright, the transfer from Texas A&M, he's an absolute stud. Should have a huge year for the Gophers. But beyond that, we got Michael Brown-Stevens. It gets real thin. We've already had some injuries in the wide receiver room. Daniel Jackson's not going to be ready for the first few weeks of the season. So the wide receiver room, the passing offense, is the weak part in the Gophers and the special teams. And Brevin Spanford, the tight end, you're going to be hearing that name all year this year. Brevin Spanford, I expect 40, 45 catches out of the young man. And that doesn't happen at the University of Minnesota. And it doesn't happen under Kirk Ciarrocca's teams. But this guy will be probably the number 2 or 3 target in the passing offense. So there you have it. Minnesota Golden Gophers, they go win the Big Ten West. They go to Indianapolis in the first week in December. They lose to the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Big Ten championship game. But get this. I have Michigan and Ohio State going to the college football playoffs. Which means what? The Minnesota Golden Gophers go to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California for the first time. Well, I'm 54 years old and I haven't seen it in my lifetime. So, been a long time coming. Gophers going to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. Please leave your comments down below. I should really get attacked by all of you for these picks in the Big Ten West. I went completely homer, but I do believe this is it for the Gophers. This has got to be it. This has got to be it. So please leave your negative comments on the comments below. And if you like this content, please hit the like button, subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for the support of this first week of the channel. Share the video. And always, from all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, until next time, please, y'all take care of each other. Thank you.